Let's talk about the practice and how you protect the corporation itself.
Good question. And so the corporation always needs to be protected because whether you're a solo physician or whether you're in a large multi-specialty group, anytime a claim hits, not only is a physician going to be named, but that physician's corporation is going to be named. So both
sense.
entities are going to be named. So the corporation can be protected on a separate or shared basis. And by shared, I mean it shares in the limits of liability with the physician. Separate limits means it's treated like as if it's a standalone physician. So we always typically recommend separate limits. It virtually doubles the coverage at relatively little extra cost. Another important consideration when looking at the corporation is how do you deal with employed physicians that leave? Because assuming they leave, and if they're on a claims-made policy form, which most practices and physicians are going to be written on, assuming they leave, start practice someplace else, the practice needs to make sure they maintain that physician maintains a retroactive date. So any acts that occurred or potential claims that occurred while they were at that facility are covered.
Right.
But in addition to that, you need to make sure that the policy provides corporate exposure when that employee's left. After that employee's left,
Right.
if something hits the radar, you need to make sure that that corporation is going to be covered as well. And that's not, sometimes that has to be endorsed onto the policy.
Made specific.
Mm-hmm.
What are the appropriate limits of liability for
Very
either?
good question. And I'm not sure there's a right or wrong answer there. Now, you'll have what's considered a standard limit of liability would be $1 million per claim, $3 million aggregate per year. That'll change based on states, but most hospital credentialing committees require a certain base level of coverage. So the question comes up, well, do I need to purchase higher limits? And it really comes down to the philosophy of the practice, because one of the things, there's a school of thought that says the higher the limits, the larger the target on my back as far as plaintiffs' attorneys are concerned, and I'm just asking for trouble. There's another school of thought that says, hey, we live in a litigious environment, and I may be in a very high-risk specialty. I want to purchase as high a limits as I can afford to purchase. No real right or wrong answer. I think
Right.
it boils down to sort of personality and what makes you sleep well at night.
There you go. That makes sense. We had a lot of people ask about how they can control costs. What kind of programs are available to control business costs?
So a lot of the programs are going to vary depending on the size of the practice.
Right.
Larger the practice, more creative solutions, the more the solutions. Let's back up.
Okay, let's hit that one. It's just that one because I'm not sure. Is it a business cost?
Let's see. It's controlling malpractice costs.
Okay.
The cost of a policy.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled on that. So we have a lot.
That's why I messed up because it wasn't teed up correctly. It's
Well,
like hitting a wobbly golf ball.
Well, I sat there and I thought business cost. That wasn't. Why did I say that? So we have a lot of people ask about how they can control costs. What are the programs that are available to accomplish that?
Okay, so good question. And the programs available are going to somewhat depend on the size of the practice. There are going to be fewer options for a solo physician than there are a large multi-specialty group. So what most people are familiar with, even large groups, would just be your standard off-the-shelf first dollar coverage, no deductible. And you control costs that way by making sure you source a marketplace, bring in a carrier that's going to be specialized for your unique practice situation. Because there are certain carriers that like certain specialties and they will price those specialties accordingly because they feel like they can adequately manage that exposure.
That makes perfect sense.
So that's going to sort of be the first step to controlling costs. You can also take a deductible, whether you're small group or large. Large groups typically take what's referred to as self-insured retentions, and that's nothing more than a very large deductible. Okay. Also, with larger groups, we have the ability with some carriers to built-in profit-sharing components. So you actually share in the profits with the carrier if your practice has a lower than average claims experience. In addition to that, we get involved a lot with aggregating physicians through various associations and create sort of a group purchasing type concept and gain pricing efficiencies and coverage efficiencies
Which is
that
basically
way.
what we do through SMA
Yes,
services.
yes.
Yeah.
And then the highest level would be reserved for very large practices or hospital systems where we get involved with designing captive self-insured type arrangements where the group or the institution would actually help them create their own insurance company. So that's one extreme as far as maximum flexibility.
Sure.
And then the other would be just the simple off-the-shelf coverage, and then you just look and make sure you match your particular needs with the carrier that's going to be best suited for that scenario.